Hi, I'm Paul Eger, Vice President of Governmental Affairs for the Minnesota Realtors.
And I'm Ryan Hamilton, Associate Legal Counsel for the Minnesota Realtors.
Welcome to this week's legislative update. All eyes at this session are now turning to taxes and the budget. Those are the big items that we anticipate being the focus of the legislature, the governor, all the players at the Capitol for the next 3.5 weeks until session adjourns. On the tax side, we've been offering our thoughts on the federal tax conformity bills in the Senate and the House, as well as weighing in on the governor's proposal. Some of the key items that we're looking at in there are maintaining that property tax refund, which is property tax relief that goes directly to taxpayers. This has been a long-standing position for the Minnesota Realtors to make sure that that relief stays intact. And there were some aspects of the federal tax bill that required some changes in state law to make sure that that relief continues to be delivered. And so we're happy to see that in both the Senate and the House bills, and we hope to see that in the Senate bill next week. There is also, in both the governor's proposal and the House bill, we also are happy to see that there are the home ownership provisions in the tax extenders package. That would be for mortgage debt forgiveness and mortgage insurance premiums. So both the governor's approach to the tax conformity bill and the House pick up those items, and the governor actually makes the mortgage insurance premiums deduction permanent in the Minnesota tax code. And finally, on the treatment of mortgage interest, the governor actually, without getting into the weeds too far on this, he basically creates what our tax code looked like before the federal bill was enacted. So he preserves kind of everything status quo as it's existed in our tax code. And the House is more closely aligned with the federal bill and picks up most of the changes to itemized deductions. So that change in the federal tax bill going from $1 million on the mortgage interest deduction to $750,000, the House matches that provision and a number of others in the in itemized deductions. The place where they differ on conformity is they actually increase the limit on the state and local property tax from where the federal tax bill is at $10,000. The House tax bill right now is at $30,000, so they have a higher limit. So there are items like that we've been following and weighing in on along the way, and we'll see the Senate tax bill next week. Now I'll turn it over to Ryan for an update on the budget.
Hi folks. Last week we talked about the finance committees had started the process of putting their budget bills together. This is not technically a budget year, so there's known as supplemental budget bills, just add-ons or even subtractions in some cases to the overall budget. On the Senate side, those omnibus bills were actually consolidated this week into what I have affectionately called an omnibus bill. So all those were compiled into one massive supplemental finance bill, which actually passed this week on the 34 to 31 vote. On the House side, this week, the budget bills are moving through the Ways Committee, so we should see them on the floor next week. And from the Realtor perspective, we're tracking two proposals that we've been following all year: the workforce development funding from Housing First, called Project Build, as well as the rulemaking review bill. Both of those have been included, at least on the House side, in the omnibus jobs bill, and in the Senate, again, it's in the omnibus bill. Another bill I've mentioned was the service animals legislation. That actually passed both the House and Senate, and it was signed into law by the governor. The key provision in that is the immunity provided for property owners who allow service animals on their property, and if those animals cause damage, it holds property owners harmless for that damage. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.